most traders don't really know how to draw supply and demand zone, or most traders they draw the zones wrongly. So in this video I'll be letting you guys see how I draw it, like how they really are, and how institutional users use them, and how you can spot a very strong supply and demand zone easily. So let's get right into the video. So first thing, I'll first start by defining what a supply and demand zone is. Okay, so a demand zone is an area by which let's just say buyers, because we're not talking about supply now, where buyers step in strongly, causing price to move aggressively. Let me show you an instance. Look at this level. You can see here, it's the demand zone now. It's a very, very good demand zone. You can see price just tapped into it. Even though that I didn't tap into this level, there was a gap here it came to fill before it moved up. But let me give you a clear example here. You can see this level now. This is a very nice zone. I just tap into this level, and what happened? It rallied up. So that's what the demand zone is trying to tell you. An area by which buyers just step in strongly. They take liquidity. And what is liquidity? That's a lot of money. So the price just tap into that level and it moves up aggressively. So you can see for various examples of demand zone, various examples. I can see for more for you guys. More. For now, I'm not started explaining how you classify them. So I can still give you instances of a demand zone. This is a demand zone because it's respecting this one. Price retested it. You can see it. You can also extend this. Price came back there again and respected it again twice. So it's a nice level again. So now you can go to a supply zone now. We see have more examples. Like this is another demand zone. So for now, let's just go to the supply zone. So right now, what is the supply zone now? According to our previous definition, we're talking about buyers now. We're talking about sellers. So you get it. So a supply zone is not just a level. It's a zone, an area by which sellers enter, pushing price rapidly downwards. It's very, very simple. So now let's check for a supply zone. It's an area, a zone. Look at this instance now. This is a supply zone now because sellers took control of this level and they push price there rapidly, right? Yes, you can see what type of price drop rapidly. I can give you more instances again. Yeah, more instances so you guys can see. Because we're in a very strong bullish market now. So you look at this level again, you see that this level is the supply level also. See here, price tapped into this supply level here. You can see. And what happened? Price sold off. Price sold off, make it tap into that level. So another thing is, as I said earlier, they are zones. They are not just lines, they are zones. You draw them properly. For instance, this is another typical example of a supply zone. Yeah, this one here. Look at this one. I'm looking for more. Yeah, see this one. Yeah, you can see price tapped into the level, and what happened next? It dropped. Okay? Yeah. That's what happened next. It tapped into it, came down, went back up, retested, and that's what happened. It dropped. So that's an example of a supply zone. So we can look for more examples. You can see another supply zone here. This supply zone. I think that this was what I was running past. And even in the future, what the price even respected it at least a bit before it went up. So we can look for more. We can look for more examples. But another key thing I want you guys to know. There's a key thing I want you guys to know, that the zones are not lines. I said it earlier. They are not lines. For instance, like if you want to mark a support and resistance, and you will see that this is a resistance, right? And this is a support. I'm not against those trading support and resistance, because trading is purely probability. If you stay long in my channel, you understand that I'll start talking more about probabilities, more about sequences and series, and how the markets behave. Market is not moving based on how you predict market. No, it's just a probability game. So like this, and this is just like right now. This is just not a zone. It's a level. You can see this guys at level. So I will delete these ones now because we're dealing with supply and demand, not support and resistance. So for my strategy now, I use both supply and demand and support and resistance. If you go further, I will explain more for you guys because I can't just do everything in one video. If you stick more to this to the end of the video, you understand how I really use this zone more. So the next one now we'll be talking about now will be how supply and demand work. how did they work? So according to my own definition, or according to my own experience in the chart, I'll tell you that supply and demand don't just work randomly. It doesn't work randomly. It works because there's always imbalance. Because just look at the outside world in the real sense. There's always buyers and sellers because there's always a commodity that is always needed. That's how it is in the chart. There will always be an area that is not filled, that the price has left. So price will always come back to fill that level. That's why it's called an imbalance. So there will always be an imbalance between buyer and seller. So either there's much buyers and there's much sellers, and there's low sellers, or there's much sellers and there's much buyers. It will always be like that continually. That's what happens. So let's just sum it up. So we understand that okay, why supply and demand work is due to imbalance, because there's always price come back to fill this area. Like for instance now, you can see it came back to fill this level. You can see, it came back here. Even after it broke it, right, it came back. Look at this level also. It still came back here in a future reference. So you can see. So price will always come back to fill the imbalance. So let's just go to the next part. I want you guys to understand which are the zones, the type of zones now. This is when I want to really break everything down. We have two major types of zone, which is the demand zone and the supply zone. Among these zones now, we'll classify them into two things I want you guys to understand. We have the initial break and the dominant break. For now, let me talk about the dominant break. I'll make a special video for the dominant break and the initial break. I'll make a special video for that. But for now, let's talk about demand. We have the rally base rally. How does it work? This is how it works. We have the rally, then we have the base, then we have the rally. So you expect price to come back here to this level as our zone. So price to come back, tap into here and come to go. This is what happens on our daily market. We have the rally base rally. That's the type of a demand level. So for now, let's talk about, let me look for we can spot it. So for the rally base rally now, yeah, we've seen one already. We've seen one. So you can see we have the rally, we have the base, then we have the rally, right? And we're having price coming back here to retest it, and what happened is it came back and zoom, that's gone up. So how does it work? Rally base rally, you mark. How do you mark the rally base rally? Of course, I'll talk about that one in the next chapter. But for now, we have the rally base rally and we have the next one, the supply. So briefly, let me just spot two types of rally. You guys can see we can have a dominant break type of demand. So yeah, because we have two types of demand. Either you have an initial break, which is this one. Briefly, I will just be talking about this one because I don't want to go too deep in this video. We have the initial break, which is just a single candle. We have one like this. This is called the initial break. So now we'll talk about dominant break. Dominant break now, we have more than one candle. Like this, you have a single candle, you now have something like this, and something like this. It's called the dominant break. There are all types of demand level also, you get. So let's leave that one for now. So let's go to the supply level also. It's the same thing, applies just as it's inverse. Now, instead of us to have rally base rally now, what do we have? We have the drop, the base, and the drop. Price come back to retest it. Expect price to attack, then sell. It's very simple. The imbalance that price has left. That's what happened here. We have the drop. How do you mark it? I'll explain that one in the next chapter too. So you can see this imbalance here. You can see this last candle, the last bullish candle here. That's how it is. You have drop, and that candle that is there, then you have another candle dropping. So you mark that level and when the price will come back as a potential level, because it has become a level that price does not come back to retest. So right now I'm going to explain, and also you can explain, because I mentioned two types of demand. We also have two types of supply. We have the initial break also, which is a single candle, then you have this. That is the version of the candle. That is this one. Hope you guys get it. This one here. So we have the dominant break sell also. Yeah, this one something like this. We have price, something like this, something like this, like this. So you mark everything like this. That's called the dominant break. Expect price to come back to retest it and then sell. That's how it is. The dominant break. So now in this chapter now we'll be talking about how to properly draw the zones. How do you draw them? So you identify the first impulsive move, the last bearish candle. Yeah, the last bearish candle. So let's do something like this now so you guys can get it. So first of all, look at this impulsive move. let me mark it for you guys. This is a impulsive move. Then you see something like this. This is called a base. You see drop. So how do you draw it like this? This is the last impulsive move. Then you look for the last bullish candle. In this case, we're talking about the same drawing a supply zone. You can see this is the last consolidated candle. You draw it out like this. You expect price to come back. You can draw. Yeah, there are two ways of you drawing this. Either you draw it from body to shadow, or from shadow to shadow. In this case, I'll be drawing from shadow to body. So that's the first zone for the supply. You can look from that zone to draw also. So it's another supply zone here again for us to draw. There's another one. So there's another supply zone here. Okay. Yes, there's another one here again for us to draw. See this level also. Yeah, I'm drawing this one from shadow to body. Yeah, I will see what happened as price dropped. Tap into this level and draw. So next one now, you can also use for the demand also. Similar also. It works for the same thing. See how price tapped into this level and what happened next. Price went up. Likewise this one also. And many other zones you can use as an example. Likewise this also. Price tapped into this level. It was a very nice trade. And what happened next? Price went up. So far we'll go to the next one. The thing now is, how do you identify a strong zone? That's the question you want to ask. A strong zone. How do you know a strong zone? A strong zone to me is one that price has not retested at all. That is totally fresh. That is the first one. Example of a fresh zone. This is a fresh zone because price has not retested it at all. This is the first time price retested. And what happened next? Momentum. Price pushed up. You go to the next one too again. You see a fresh zone, a very fresh zone. The price has not retested. Yeah, a fresh zone. I'm looking for more. I can show you guys. I should for more. Okay, you can see this level too. Price has not tested this level before. It tested it for the first time. And what happened next? Immediately, it just played around a bit and it went up, came back here, then it zoomed more. You can see. So for now, that's how you identify a strong zone. One price has not tested. That's the first one. And also a strong zone, also the one that we see at this price, you see momentum. Yeah, just like this one that we saw here. See this level too. This is a good demand zone too. It's a very nice demand zone. Now I mentioned dominant break. Yeah, this one's a good demand zone. So, and an initial break also. I mentioned it to you guys. So far, that's how it will be for the end of this video. I hope you guys subscribed. Also, guys subscribe. I'll be talking more about the dominance break and initial break more. I'll be talking more deeper. So I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Peace out.